everyone. Welcome to the quad. We're back. She back.
Got
She
it.
ready.
Hello.
She back. She ready. Well, yeah. I'm going to take off my glasses because I'm getting a glare from the light that's annoying. But, Mrs. Magoo does like to, Yeah, okay. Kim's going to keep hers on.
I think
Yeah.
Okay, we have Jennifer and Kimberly back at the table along with Randy the Crawdaddy Crawford. We haven't figured out if you like that. We haven't figured out if you like that moniker.
I'll take any moniker. I'll take it. I'll own that. I'm the Crawdaddy. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. I was just at a grad party and they served crawdaddies that did not sing. It wasn't good.
They're kind of bland, and Randy is not bland, so we might need to come up with another one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we'll have a Joan. Is that a wire hanger Crawford?
Yeah.
Crawford. That is not. We're going from one extreme to the other there, Jennifer.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, we're going to start with the topic that's on the tip of everyone's tongues. This thing just keeps chugging along in different ways, shapes, and forms, but it's kind of this transgender, I don't know, illumination, underscoring education process, because of a lot of us are still getting educated on all the different facets, and it's kind of a controversial topic, so listeners, audience, beware. But I had a great conversation with my husband and my youngest, and I thought it'd be good for us to touch upon it. All right, so I'm going to throw up this photo.
Yeah.
Yes. That's, yeah. Okay. So this prompted a discussion because for me, I'm all about learning more about the transgender movement and, the psychological, emotional reasons, how I can support that lane. But this train is moving really fast, and I'm just going to speak for myself and the Jabbar Casa. Maybe too fast. This was an image that was kind of jolting to us. So I'm going to tee it up to Kim, because Kim, I know you have very strong and passionate thoughts about transgender and the movement.
So do you guys remember about, I think it was 20 years ago, right around the early 2000s, where there was a picture of this guy, but who transitioned from a woman to a man who was pregnant. It was really confusing at the time. And, there is so much we don't understand, but I'm just of the ilk that I don't care. I don't care if you're transgendered or you get pregnant. It has no bearing on me. Do I understand every aspect of all of the movements? I don't, but I can't project my inability to understand it because I'll never be able to, because I've never had a child that has transitioned or is homosexual or is confusing about their gender identity. So I can't pretend to know exactly what happens, but it doesn't affect my life. I want to be compassionate towards people and I want to try to learn. And I think that's what we need to do, is to keep having conversations to learn more about people, whether you're Black, you're Asian, or you're gay, or you're transgendered. I think it's the conversations and the openness to people in general that allows us to understand where they're coming from. Now, yeah, there are things out there that are very confusing. It doesn't affect my day-to-day living. So I'm not going to hinder somebody else's happiness and fulfillment because I don't understand it. I'm not going to throw hate their way. I'm just going to go try to make the best day I can in my life with my children and try to raise as compassionate children as I can and to be accepting. Does that mean we have to understand everything? No, because we can.
Okay. Gotcha. And I love it. Yeah. Okay. So Randy, you and I have talked about this. Tell me your thoughts.
Okay. So a couple thoughts. Number one, I gave this a lot of thought. So I'm really glad we're chopping it up, because when I was sent that image, now I have to admit, I was at a Friday night dinner with my family. We were not getting along. drinking margaritas, and I was in a salty mood. I get the image. I had zero response. There was no shock value. I just saw it, and it's funny because it went in and out. So I thought, well, that's really weird. Why didn't I just had no reaction, whether or not it was crazy. So my brain really gave this a lot of thought. And I went back to 2 times in my life because I do not remember that image, Kim. So it's interesting. But I actually remember the 1991 photo of Demi Moore with the short pixie haircut at the height of her fame on the cover of Vanity Fair, standing there in all her beautiful nudeness, pregnant belly, covering her private parts. And at the time, that was shocking. That image was just a shocking, gorgeous, yet very vulnerable and daring image. And the second time I've really, truly been shocked by an image, without question, was the Caitlyn Jenner reveal. So those are 2 times I've been really, really wowed in my life. So my common sense brain looks at that photograph as I went back and looked at it. And like Kim, of course, I take no offense to it. So if you do a little bit of research, it's a digital photo. It's on a UK magazine, and that's their choice to put that photo up there. And I have zero thoughts other than good for you. And it is, their kickoff to Gay Pride Month. However, my common sense brain that never comes from hate, it comes from common sense. When I see an image of a pregnant person, my brain tells me that that's a biological woman that is pregnant, that clearly is a transitioned male, and that's how they want to be seen, and that's how they want to live their life. I therefore have no problem with it. That said, I wake up today not looking for any of this stuff, and I get an article that pops up on one of my news channels that says that a boy in Iowa or Idaho, I forget, and I took my glasses off, so I can't read anymore, but a boy in either Idaho or Iowa yesterday was not allowed to walk with his graduating class because he used the words biological male and biological female. And so he graduated, but they wouldn't let him walk. Another girl handed in a paper at college and was writing an argument about biological men and biological women competing together in a sport. And she was given a failing grade, a grade of 0, because she used the word biological women. So this is where I just question. I don't think we're moving too fast in terms of people doing what they want to do. You do you. But then when we get into but we're going to school you on how this works, that's where my brain just does not assimilate what you're schooling me on, because a biological woman carries a baby. But I don't care how you choose to gender yourself. I mean, if I look at Caitlyn Jenner in her 60s, I believe it was, knew her whole life that she was in the wrong body. That's not for any of us to judge. Nor does Caitlyn go out there and tell the rest of us how we should think. So I just think we all need to give grace on both sides, but we're at a point right now where you have professors not letting kids walk with their graduating class and or failing assignments because they are simply doing what they know, what they were taught, what they learned, which is at birth if you're an XX or you're an XY. So that's where I'm coming from it.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to point out something else from my standpoint is I'm kind of with both you and Kim, Randy, and Jennifer, you're next. I think people need to do what's going to make them happy. I think if we've not learned anything, especially over the past few years when the world was kind of turned on its head, I think that, happiness is a right of everyone. The problem I'm having with this particular issue and cover is I think there's shock value to it. And I do think that, there's something magical. If you're a woman biologically and you have born children and gone through that process, I just think it's something we're mixing things now where I find it a slippery slope. And I think it's confusing because I think things are moving too fast. I think people are making knee-jerk reactions to decisions. I think we're not thinking through the ramifications of certain things. So Anyway, Jennifer, what's your take?
Oh, I have so many questions just in general. First of all, I'd like to know who styled this photo because I am appalled by the red tie. Terrible, terrible choice. Come on. No, it was definitely a little jarring to see, mostly because of the fashion, to be honest. I mean, he seems like, he's proud to be transgendered and having a baby. This picture stands out as, here I am, and good for you, good for him, good for Logan. I mean, that's great. The whole idea of transitioning in children. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who actually has 2 gay children. And I just found out recently that her daughter is going to be transitioning to a man. And my first thought was, wow, don't you think she's just too young to do this? And shouldn't you wait and have decisions? And I don't understand why parents would do this. And this is a little off topic because this person's obviously a bit older, but just in general, and then hearing the parental feedback, which was, well, I think people think that these decisions are made, quickly and without any thought or research or, trepidation or emotion. And that's just not true. I mean, no parent that I know of would want to just quickly say, yes, let's do that. Where's the surgeon? It's a long process to get there. And I think there is quite a bit of psychological evaluation and therapy to make sure that, yes, this is what the child wants. And her phrase to me was, if your child came to you and said, I am so miserable the way that I am, and I know that I'm meant to be a different gender and this is what's going to make me happy, then she says, wouldn't you do whatever it takes to make your child happy? And I guess the answer is yes. So it's so tricky and difficult to be a parent in this position. And I think people that choose to transition in most cases aren't just doing it, on a whim. I would hope not anyway. And I think there's lots of evidence that supports that they are happier once they've transitioned, because I looked it up. And because that was my other thought. Well, do they all regret it? I don't think they do. So while it's jarring and I think it's our new reality, there's a lot more people are going to be obviously, taking this road. And, I do hope that there aren't regrets and that it does work out for them and that they can become happy, and that also that they're not going to be persecuted by people that don't understand or take the time to just, to your point, Kim and Randy, like, whatever, it doesn't really affect me per se. So
Well, see, that's where I'm going to disagree. It does affect everybody. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that this is a very narrow lane that's getting a shit ton of exposure right now. I guess that's the whole point, is
it's getting more exposure then. I mean, when you
it's-
look at the percentage of
yeah. I mean, we're talking about
transgenders, it's a minute number, and the focus is disproportionate to the actual people who are going through this. At my children's high school, there are 5 kids and 1 now that I just learned about who has transitioned. And it's sad as a parent because you are struggling with that notion to try to understand where they're coming from. But when I see the flip side of these kids, I mean, it's where they want to be.
okay. Yes. Okay. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any of the happiness factors, because that's all we want for our kids. If you don't have that, it's like not having oxygen. What's the point, right? Nothing else really matters if you don't have happiness. But Jennifer, back to your point, is it does affect us. And I think that's the part that I'm really struggling with as both a mom and as a woman and just someone in the community that wants to have an open heart and mind and be respectful and loving and give grace. Is this kind of movement has gone like a freight train out of the gates, and the pronoun usage, and just like Randy said, I guess now it's not biological, the whole sports impact. I mean, as a ex-woman athlete, I don't think that it's fair to have, not thought through how kids that transition and maybe biological male, should they be allowed to compete with females? If that's the case, should females be biological females? Should they be allowed to take performance enhancing drugs because they've got to now level their own playing field? There's so many impacts. And what scares me is just what we're talking about is the amount of exposure and marketing. And in some ways, I think almost exploitation of this. I think it's causing a lot of confusion and a lot of mixed feelings.
But so if you're referring to the beer, I think that whole beer campaign thing was so blown out of proportion. It's like, what? Who the fuck cares?
Well, a lot of people.
A lot of people.
I know. But
Yeah.
I mean, because somebody found it and focused on it, can't we come up with other shit? I'm sorry. My personal thing is leave people alone. What you're doing over there. Okay, the athletic thing, that does go into a different department. I agree with you. I don't know. I just have maybe the older we get, it's not complacency, it's just acceptance. Just accept people. I just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're all collectively saying. I think that what we're also, at least from my little box, my little pink box, I think that I don't want shit shoved down my throat either when I feel like I am being educated and I'm trying to understand and I'm trying to figure out the impacts of all of this. I mean, shit, you go in to have a baby now, you can't label their gender legally. I mean, so there's a lot that's going on here and a lot of noise. Here's another example. Okay. So there are certain states that are prohibiting transgender healthcare. All right. So there's all of these things that are happening right under our noses. And meanwhile, what I'm finding not so great is I feel like I'm trying to research and understand where I need to be on this and communicate that with my adult children who also are confused about this. And it's being shoved down my throat every which way. I can't turn around without another thing, another product endorsement, another controversy, another magazine. It's a lot.
And to address the statement, because I would agree with what you just said, Lori, in that I don't think anybody on this panel has hate, and we're all moms, and we all know we would do anything for our kids' happiness. No question. I've had shoppers come in with their trans children, and I am delighted to help these kids find dresses, and the moms are so supportive, and you just feel really good being part of something that supports someone in being who they are and expressing who they are. So I personally love that feeling, and I've had that on several occasions. Again, however, when we talk about how, if it's not affecting me, it really does affect everyone, because if you look at what's happening with Target right now, again, Kim, it doesn't affect me. I haven't gone to Target much since my kids were little. And when they were little, I lived at Target. That was my go-to, Target every day. But now that my kids are older, I don't have as much of a need to go there. So if I did have young children, I can't honestly say how I would feel, but I can say the way that the country has said that they feel. I mean, Target is just getting freaking destroyed right now. I think that you have at all these companies now, they're all hiring diversity officers. It's a new role that has not been in corporate America until the last few years. And diversity officers are making choices, and hopefully those choices are being looked at by everybody, and everybody is okay. Listen, we're in Gay Pride Month right now, and Gay Pride by definition is, let's stand up for people who have to fight to live an authentic life. So I think that right now it's very heavy on all of that. Target doing what they did, coming out during Veterans Day, when it's almost like they completely forgot what Veterans Day was about. Memorial Day, sorry. That had a very big blowback, but that's a choice that they chose to take. So, I mean, does Target's numbers impact me? No, not at all. Would I be impacted if I was a mom of a little child walking into Target, walking into the displays? I don't really know. I can't say. I really, truly cannot say. Would it piss me off and make me want to throw things? No, absolutely not. But, our culture is, we always focus on the weirdos, that are far left and far right. I think there are far more people that are far center than we talk about. So when you see those stories, it inflames you and you're like, oh my God. But I don't really think that all that stuff happens as much as we think it does. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, I always say I'm, if we will look at left, right, center, I'm just common sense. If it makes common sense, I don't care where it lies. But this is one where I'm struggling with, and I'm just being honest and vulnerable about it, because I do feel like there's a lot of downstream effects. And I just think, in order for us to be sensitive and compassionate, look, just the pronoun issue is hard for me. I'm learning and I'm trying, but when someone's a they or a them, it takes an effort to understand how to embed that within the normal English language. I mean, it's not grammatically, there's a lot. So I think we're all trying to keep up with it, but I think the disheartening thing is I don't think we're ready for some of this. And I wish people would put the brakes on some of it. Any other last minutes? Okay. I think we did well on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
okay.
I was at a party last night and it was the topic. So
yeah.
It's good though to be able to have a discussion about it. I mean, I think that that's part of the process.
Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of throw this out there too, is, I was coming back from the Padres game last night, and, for faith-based people that are really, their azimuth is pointed in a direction because of their personal faith, that's okay too, right? That's a choice. And it's a struggle bus for some of them, so it's contrary to what, everything they've known their whole life. And so I think everyone's trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube here. All right. Agreed. Okay. Next topic. Can we top that topic? I don't know.
What topic?
Can we top? Okay, next topic is a little bit more fun. Let's talk about.
Is it though?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I think it's funny. It's almost entertainment. It's like Jerry Springer in an app. Nextdoor, and why people get so friggin' batshit crazy on Nextdoor. Let's start with you, Jennifer.
Well, I was just perusing through my own Nextdoor, and I think there's sort of archetypes within your own Nextdoor environment, right? Everybody has that one lady who's the real Karen of the group, and she posts all the time, and she points everything out, and she complains about everything. And usually all of her complaints start with, I don't want to complain, but, and then she has a whole diatribe about what's bothering her today. The person's grass is too long, the person's grass is too short. The Christmas decorations don't speak to the home values in the neighborhood.
Oh, I've had that in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Stop handing out cheap candy. It's reducing our home values. Things like that. And then there's that one lady. This is so weird. Whenever there's a lost pet, she has found it. What does that mean? I mean, I think she's out there stealing people's pets, and then wants to be the hero on Nextdoor and say, oh, I found a little footsie. He's right here safe and sound. Come and get him.
Oh my goodness.
I'll take the reward.
I'll take the reward.
Yeah. If she rolls up in a nice new Escalade, or, she's the culprit.
She's totally the culprit. And then everybody's favorite, the one I don't understand why people even bother with, because if they know anything about dynamics, coyotes don't stay in one place long. So if the coyotes are on the corner of Verano and Talega, by the time you've posted it, they're not there anymore. So why don't you just save it?
Yeah.
That is so true. It's like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, they're not there. They're moving, they're hunting.
Yeah. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. Well, Randy, you had some thoughts on this. This was a topic that you kind of lobbed us up. What say you on it?
When I do my digital detox and I do no social media, I still obviously read emails. And so, and I'll be honest, I don't even know how Nextdoor works. And I get some things sent to me via email and a lot I don't get. But every time I get one, I usually just delete. But if I'm off social media, this is definitely my entertainment, which I was last weekend. So I read this one about a parent who's very upset about an assignment their child got at Torrey Pines. So without going into the actual assignment, which was a little bit batshit, I looked at my husband. It was a lot. It was a lot batshit.
It was pretty
but
crazy.
The question I have is why today do we want to make everything public rather than being upset with an assignment? And normally your course of action would be that you call the teacher and you say, or maybe you get together with a couple of the parents and you say, do you think this assignment was cool? Me neither. But now, like, someone wants to go to Nextdoor, vilify this teacher. I think the teacher could have even been fired. I mean, but there was like 200 comments. So I spent like a half an hour. I couldn't get enough of this, And I know it was a time suck. But I just don't understand the need that we have today to make our grievance everyone else's. What the hell is that? It's weird.
But is that why Nextdoor was set up for that? I thought it was more for the catalytic converters and the robberies and look out here, look out there. I thought that's what the purpose of it was for, which is
zip code, specific neighborhoods, but it's really become much more of a place just to lay all grievances. And the thing about it that I learned very quickly is don't comment, because the second you comment on a post, then you will be notified every time every other crazy person posts something. And sometimes it goes on and on and on. You're like, leave, I gotta leave the commenting. So yeah, it's sad. I don't know. These people don't seem to have anything better to do. I mean, certainly there's some good posts, but most of them are just weird.
They are.
Well, I think
some of them are informative.
Yeah. I kind of look at this as just a macrocosm, microcosm, just like everything of what we are, what we become. I think that we're bandwagoners. I think people put stuff out there. They put it in the Facebook communities too. If you're part of any of those, it's like people will post stuff that is, I don't even know what the intention is. And I think it is to elicit a response and comments from people, and for people to either jump on their bandwagon or to get people as part of your own crusade. That's what I think it is,
Well, what you're saying, Lori, that's the feeling I had with this assignment post. My brain immediately went to the movie Beauty and the Beast. At the end when they're all like, get the beast. You know what I mean? There's the poor beast in the castle and everyone wants to go kill the beast. That's what it felt like, such a mob mentality of every single person shitting on teachers. And again, granted, wacky assignment. But the point is, every single person was just throwing in all these comments. And there was so much they didn't know about it. The other thing I was going to say is, today I wrote a really funny one. I see warning in all caps and I'm like, oh my God, what am I being warned about? It's steer clear of Paw Patrol Commons, because apparently it's a whole rant about dogs and a woman's dog who got banned from being there's a big warning about that though. Lady, shut up. It's very funny. Otherwise you're going to cry, but you're right. It's a microcosm of what's going on. We need validation. We need everybody to come in and just vilify now this place when maybe her dog was an asshole. I don't know, but it's not my business. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Agree. Too much information. I mean, if you have a problem with a writing assignment, freaking take it to the school.
Yeah.
Post about it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that we share too much online anyway. And, you see it all the time with the overposters on the gram or Facebook. It's like, and the families that they're in the same room, but they're having a conversation on their post. I just think some people, this is fulfilling something deeper and darker within people that they need to do it. And I just think we share too much. Yeah.
I don't see it changing.
No, not with a lot of people, because I do think there's a psychological element to this, which needs to be fulfilled. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Nextdoor people, if you're listening, tone it down. right? And no coyote posts.
Mind your own business. Mind your own business.
Okay, I got another turd in the punch bowl. You gals ready?
I love turds.
Hey,
Okay, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I'm no spring chicken. And I don't know how long or how much runway I have left. I'm optimistic. Let's talk about age. Okay. And, we talk about age discrimination all the time. And we ladies know that as midlifers and whatnot, that is a fact, Jack. There is 100% age discrimination, except as it would appear for politicians and white males. And I don't know. I was thinking a lot about this because, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino both have come out of the woodwork and at almost 80, is it 80? They're having children.
Mick Jagger too.
Oh my God. I didn't know that one. And then, it was an unfortunate video of President Biden at the Air Force Academy tripping, and I get it, everyone trips. That was kind of went viral, and even CNN, which is a fairly liberal platform, was kind of like, is this an age issue? We've got two people on that are probably going to run for president that are 10 times 8, And then I see Dianne Feinstein, which I'm sorry, this is awful. Dianne, I was with you in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. You look like Tales of the Crypt. It's time to go. I just think that, we need to talk about age fairly. And I do think that, I think we're seeing a lot of disturbing things. And what are your thoughts, ladies? Let's go. Jennifer.
I think people, I just got back from Europe visiting with my mother-in-law. Bless her. She's a wonderful, very intelligent woman. She's pushing 85 now, and she's got macular degeneration in one eye. And so she can't really see, but will she give up driving? No. And I had the misfortune to get to ride with her, and there were a lot of, I didn't see that car, and oh my gosh, where did that person come from? And we're like, oh my God, you need to stop driving. But it's her freedom, it's her independence. So I can see why people would be reluctant. And there was long talks at the dinner about her giving it up, and she refuses. I think she's going to have to hit somebody.
Okay, Kim, again, you're our resident feel good / rose-colored lenses, which we love.
No.
Yeah. What is your thoughts here? Because I think, I'd love to know.
No, I think as long as you're of sound mind and can function. Look, we're getting older and healthier. There's things that are, our lives are much longer than they used to be, and people are active. 65 was the date that you retire, but retirement isn't all what it's cracked out to be. We like to be busy. We like to be useful. We like to have a purpose every day. And when that purpose ends, a lot of people get depressed. And I don't know. I just think it's an individual thing. I don't know if you can just say, okay, everybody, by the time you're 80, you have to stop, or by the time you're 70 or 65. I just think it's got to be whatever your mental capacity is. If you can function, then function.
Yeah, but a lot of people get beyond the point of their mental capacity tells them that they can still function, but it's because their mental capacity is diminished.
Yeah.
No, I get that. How do you measure it? I don't know. I don't know how you measure making a blanket retirement. I know a really good friend of ours is a pilot, and I think at 65, you have to stop. So there are mandatory ages to.
Well, I do think some people are proposing cognitive testing, which I think is a great thing, because I think you're right, Jennifer. I think sometimes the issue is you think you're fine and everyone else around you is like, and not so much. I think if you, in Dianne Feinstein's case, physically she looks, she's getting wheeled in. Okay. You're getting wheeled in. Now I'm all for 4 wheels. And don't, you get me out in one of those little carts.
Right, carts, watch out.
Watch out. I got a horn and a flag and but I don't know. I think that people would, she's not remembering where she was.
Yeah,
And
she's
I don't,
how old is she? Like 95?
she's, yeah. And I think the bigger thing is, hey, look, if you're with it and, you know, some people at 85 are completely with it. But
Yeah.
I think what's disheartening for me is, I don't know. Especially as it relates to leadership, you know, you see this in corporate too, where board members will be on a board for 25, 30 years, sticking in that chair because they want all the benefits of being at the table, all the nice little things they get, and
Right.
the ego and this. I don't know. I just think I find it that we're having a harder and harder time stepping aside for younger generations. And I think societally, I don't know. I'd like to see us pull younger people into the mix. Randy, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you, and I couldn't agree more that, you know, 65 is not what it once was, and we are getting healthier, and but let's just call it what it is. If we're specifically talking about politics, the fact that we could possibly go into an election with two 80-year-old men running, that's just crap.
White men.
I think we deserve better than that. I mean, that is old. I feel old at 55, but I feel young. 80-year-old men running. And let's just, if you just look again at the science and at the facts, if someone in their 80s falls and breaks a hip or breaks something, I mean, that could be a death sentence, actually. Those are scientific facts. And so obviously, I think that we can do better in the United States, and we need to be pulling younger people. I mean, don't even get me started. I think we need way more than two parties. I think we need a lot more going on. In terms of, yeah, I mean, Dianne Feinstein, she was wheeled in. She didn't even know where she was for the last 3 months. At some point, we just have to, like I say, seek the truth and agree with it. I mean, come on.
Well, and the other thing too is, you know, not to really make this kind of politically incorrect or overly correct, they're two white males. I mean, we are making so much progress, and we're trying so hard with diversity, and yeah. But I don't know. Anyone have any last little? I just find it's interesting because I think as women, you know, women in Hollywood, they'll tell you all the time the roles for women over 50, you know, very limiting. And I just find that, I don't know, there's maybe double standards, and I want to see youth too across the board. And
Definitely double standards. I mean, when you look at like news anchors and the Harry Reasners and all those guys and the Dan Rathers who worked until they were 75 and wrinkly and not looking so hot. And then, you know, they're
oh, Dan
fine.
Rather was hot.
Yeah, but then the women, you know, they've got to be perfectly young and
Well, you had Barbara Wawa, and you know, they hung in there. You know, Whoopi Goldberg's farting on The View. She just lifts a cheek and lets her rip.
She does.
I mean,
oh yeah,
that's so funny.
yeah.
That was one of the another Nextdoor post I read. Some lady complained that boys were coming to her window at night and ripping giant farts. And
hey, that's a worthy post right there.
Finally,
something that we could all get behind.
right? Like, warning, if you see these boys.
Yeah, she didn't have any pictures, but she said it was a bit frightening, and the smells would waft up into her window. And I'm like, well,
is she,
good to know.
Yeah, maybe she needs to move upstairs.
at least someone's at your window. I've been trying to get people to look in my window for weeks.
All right, ladies, we covered some good topics, and I'll be interested to see what feedback we get on this bad boy. Any final thoughts? Okay, what? No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, besides how hot you are.
Yeah, I'm hot. You know, she tried to feel me up at a grad party. It's just like,
no, you wanted me to feel you up. You offered it.
I did. Oh, geez. Okay, so there's one other thing, and this is a serious thing. So we released this week on Monday an interview with San Diego District Attorney Summer Stephan, and it's all about the world of drugs. Okay, she talks about, you know, we're in San Diego, we're dealing with cartels. Southern California in general, right? And that's kind of her, that's what she does. She's plays whack-a-mole with some of these things on the daily. And fentanyl is a huge, huge problem. It is the number one cause of death for, I think it's 20 to 30-year-old young adults. And it's not getting any better. And she does talk a lot about marijuana, where if you're in California, it is legal. And what we should be concerned about with youth and marijuana and long-term effects. And 3 days ago, I found out someone that my son used to play baseball with, his older brother, who's mid-20s, just died of a fentanyl overdose. So I encourage everyone to listen to Summer Steffen. She's as honest as it comes. This is a really serious issue that you think will not affect you or your family or potentially your extended family and neighbors. Fentanyl is a huge, huge problem. And so
I just found out a couple days ago that somebody who went to school with my son Friday night died of fentanyl.
yeah.
And because these kids are getting it from sources that they're not getting their Ambien and their Xanax from a pharmacy. They're getting it from somebody online. And
Yep,
that's what's killing them.
that's exactly what it is they're getting it online. They don't want to go through the protocols of having to go to a doctor, getting a prescription, going through the pharmacy. So they are ordering online. And as Summer says, more than I think 99% of the time, or she had some statistic, if you don't get it from a pharmacy and your doctor, it has fentanyl in it. Facts. And whether or not it'll kill you or not is a whole nother thing, but it's like playing with Russian roulette.
Like going to Tijuana and buying Ambient and Xanax, it might have fentanyl in it.
Yep.
Oh, even from the pharmacies in Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did you're on vacation in Puerto Vallarta, you're going through the airport. Oh, let's hit the pharmacy and get all the goodies we can't get over the counter in the US.
Yeah.
Those days are over, man. So anyway, so everyone should check it out. I highly encourage it. I highly encourage your kids, nephews, nieces, because it is a growing problem and it's pretty scary.
Good
All right.
talk.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. All right. Love you,
you.
ladies. Until next
Okay.
time. Okay. Adios.
Adios.